Welcome. I'm Adam Miller, a consultant with the Art of Applying and a graduate of the University of Virginia's Darden School of Business. Today we've got a question from our Q&A vault about how to get feedback from your interviewer after you just interviewed at an MBA program. So let's take a look at what our client asked our consulting team.
Hey there, you're watching Ask the Art of Applying. In this series, admissions experts on our team answer real questions from our clients who are navigating the grad school application process. Watch this series to gain perspective and get real expert answers to your most pressing application questions. And if you're interested in learning more about the expert advice, editing, and guidance we provide for the grad school application process, watch the free training in the link below in the description. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more application success stories, application tips, advice, and encouragement. Enjoy the video.
They write in and say, is it appropriate to reach out to our interviewers for feedback on how we did in the interview? Interesting. Or to update them on our admission status. So basically, I'm imagining that this person is not asking for feedback a week after the interview while the overall admissions team is deciding whether or not to let you in, but more so they are asking for feedback or updates after the decision has actually already been made to waitlist you or accept you into the school or reject you. Like the overall team has actually made a real decision on that round. And now you want to send a note for feedback or let them know how things turned out, especially if it was for the positive. You certainly should send a thank you email to the person who interviewed you the same day or the following day, basically as quickly as you can. Being specific about what you really enjoyed about the interview and if you have any additional questions or things that they should consider. But getting feedback is not something you should do right away. They're not going to give you any real honest feedback right away, and you don't have anything to update them on. So again, this is a really interesting question because it's not something I have ever thought about. When I was interviewing at schools, I didn't keep close enough track of who my interviewers were to get any kind of feedback or send them an update on how things went because they were such a small part of the process for me, right? I certainly followed up with admissions like directors who I'd talked to or alumni or current students, but never my interviewer beyond just that thank you email. So this person is thinking about doing this and they want to send an email to the Ross alum who interviewed them. What should I do? Now, our founder and CEO, Kanisha, has some really interesting advice and an anecdote about how this went for her and why you should do it. She says, yes, funny story. Once I got into Harvard Business School, I reached out to my Stanford interviewer to ask her to help me get an interview at Nestle for a summer internship. Interesting. So not only did she send a thank you note and let the person know about the fact that they were heading off to HBS and all of that, but they were still networking. She used this person to try to get a job. And she did. She got the job. And then that was her boss at Nestle. So that's a crazy story. It makes me think that I should have been doing that myself a little bit more. So not only did she not end up going to that school, but she ended up asking that person for some career help and then ended up having that be her manager. On her first day, she says, she casually mentioned that I had chosen HBS over Stanford, and I had to tell her that I'd actually been waitlisted at Stanford. So the person should not be offended. It's Stanford's fault for not just admitting her. They both laughed about it, and so definitely update your interviewers on how things turn out for you. The person who asked the question says, wow, that is the power of networking right there. On the same train of thought, would having an additional recommender who's an alum of the University of Michigan make any difference in an update letter? This individual is one of my clients, but he did not graduate from the business school. He was a BS and he holds an MBA from Booth. This is a very different type of thing to have happen. So this person is, either it's more recent. Right now, they're still waiting to hear back about whether or not they were let into the school or not. And they want to figure out whether or not they should have an additional person just like send something into the school on their behalf. Now, I've never done this for anyone as an alum of Darden yet, but certainly alums can chime in and say, hey, I really think this is a person you should think about admitting, and here's why. And that could be something outside of the typical 2 letters of recommendation process. You don't want to do this too much because it's not something the schools are asking for. So don't feel like you need to do it. I certainly didn't have anyone do this on my behalf, and I don't know anyone personally who also has talked about having this happen. But if you have someone who is a reputable alum and they offer to basically send an email to the admissions team about why they think you would be such a great person to add to the class, sure, it's not going to hurt, especially if they're careful with their words. And, here at the Art of Applying, we'd be happy to take a look at a draft of what they might be planning on sending. Yeah, it's actually a really interesting thing is if you have someone who went to the alma mater of some of these schools, additional notes of confidence in you are probably going to help. Our founder and CEO, Kanisha, says, if they're open to writing something for you, have them do it, right? Even though they didn't go to the business school, they went to the undergrad, they're still an alum of Michigan. And so I'm sure they bleed blue and would be more than happy to send it. So if they're offering to do so, I'm sure that the admissions team would take a look at it and it might even help you a little bit. So that's the kind of thing that can feel a little bit icky because it kind of feels like you're going outside of the process to get a bunch more letters of recommendation, and they're not even in the same format if they're just an email. But if you have folks in your corner who went to these programs and you really feel like they're going to be happy to do so and it's not going to take them a long time, then yeah, it's not a bad idea. So overall, hopefully you found this video to be informative and a little bit entertaining. Certainly there's an emphasis here on the power of networking, whether it's somebody vouching for you or a person who interviewed you staying in touch with you to help you with your career. If you want any help getting into your dream business school or any other kind of graduate school, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at theartofapplying.com.